What's up, YouTube? This is your boy Alex. It's, still a rainy day, but I'm able to get outside. As you can see, I can actually roam around a little bit better than I did yesterday. So I apologize to my audience that I was in the bathroom. Normally, I don't like filming inside the restroom because your voice starts to echo back and forth, and then you have a high-pitched, low-pitched voice, and people can't understand what you're saying. For the most part, everybody understood what I was saying. It's just the idea that some people will see the video and go, "Come on, man, is that the best place you can go to film a video?" And it's not that I can't find the best place. It's if it's raining outside and you get limited to a confined space, you're not able to make a good, intelligent, competitive, creative video if you're limited. And I don't like being limited in confined spaces because then I can't give you the best video quality that the best can give you. It's just unfortunate. So we're outside and I'm taking advantage. I do have a small window of opportunity. It's doing light rain, so consider yourself lucky and blessed, more blessed and lucky that I'm able to come out here and give you the best video possible. Now, this was a very difficult list to make into a video. I was going to wait until like mid-July, early August to drop this YouTube video when I had more time to put this list together 100% accurate. Right now, it's only between 70 to 84, maybe 85% accurate. It's not 100% accurate, because I was trying to see how long it would take for me to get to this video, and, well, this is just one of the video ideas that I have. This one ain't going to be talking about sex and dating. We're going to take a small little break from talking about my favorite superheroes and, movies and television shows. This one is going to be in the realm of movies, but it's called Sex Game, the top 10 greatest movies of all times. Some of the best movies and movie cinema history. And when I say the greatest, understand there's a big major difference between the greatest movie of all times and the best movie of all times. If this video is well received, we might make a part 2, we might make a part 3. I already have ideas for part 2 and part 3. So if you complain that your favorite movie is not on this list, I apologize. And I always tell you in the first video, I always come back with a part 2 and a part 3 if it's well received. It has to be well received. Some of these videos for the past 5 weeks have been very well received. So I want to say thank you to the fans. I want to say thank you to the people that subscribe to my videos. You didn't have to watch these videos if you did not want to. You did not have to sit down and look at me on your iPhone, your cell phone, your computer, your laptop. You didn't have to do that. So I say thank you, because without you people, I would not be able to have the strength to come on camera and give you these great videos, this best content ever. It's because of you people. I say thank you to the people. Not too many people say thank you when they do these videos and they don't think of the people. They don't think of their fans, their fan base. The people who like television, film, video games, comic books, anime. So I say thank you to you people. And the people who just watch videos just to watch videos, thank you. The people who give me good comments, thank you. The people who see me in person and watch 1 or 2 of my videos, thank you. Now, this is going to go out of order because it makes it more fun, more exciting, more challenging. Makes a video very creative. Instead of the usual, you just do it in order. Some people say if you do it out of order, it's more fun versus if you do it in order. So we're trying to make this fun and exciting for you guys and girls. So this video is for both men and women for your joy of entertainment. Coming in at number 11 is Superman, made in 1978. This was the superhero movie that started the superhero genre, okay? For years and years and years in Hollywood, superhero movies from comic books were considered a joke. They thought they were just for kids in high school and college, and basically they would never turn this into a movie. And finally, Superman, the first ever Golden Age superhero, would finally turn into a live action movie. And Christopher Reeves was the man who became Clark Kent Superman, Kal-El. And the movie was so successful that it spun off 3 movies. Superman 2, which is just as great as the first film. Superman 3 wasn't as good as the first 2 films. It was good, it just wasn't great. And Superman 4 was by far the worst film in the franchise. So he done 4 live action films of the character. And a lot of people love that version of Superman because Christopher Reeve's version of Superman is pre-crisis Superman. It's by far the most strongest, most powerful version of Superman in film and in comic books. And people love the classic hairstyle look that he had to portray the character of Superman. You know, every kid who puts on a cape or a towel in the bathroom and tries to fly out the window thinks they're Superman. And for me, it all started with this movie. Of course, I wasn't born until 1986. And when we got in the late 80s, early 90s, and 2000s to this very day, I always watch all 4 films of Superman. Because to me, Christopher Reeve's version of Superman is by far the best, okay? People like Henry Cavill's version of Superman, which I like his version of Superman from Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, but it's not on the same level as Christopher Reeve's version of Superman because the guy had so much class and respect for the character of Superman that he made the character and the role his own. And fast forward 50, 60 years later, people still like his version of Superman. You got people from the last 3 generations who have never seen the first Superman film and right off the bat declare it as the best version of Superman. Now, there are other actors who have played this character in other movies, television shows, like Brandon Routh's version of Superman was pretty good. And I give Brandon Routh lots of respect and credit for playing the television version, which was basically Superman from the first 2 films, and the crossover. So he's, to me, like the second best Superman. Now, I know people are going to say, what about Henry Cavill's version? I like his version, but, you know, they started doing too much experimenting with that Superman. They would not let Superman be Superman. So that's why I'm telling you this movie started it all. Every time I hear that theme song, that is Superman to me. When you change his theme song to something else, it ain't Superman. Like the only reason why I like the theme song from Man of Steel was because it had a new fresh take on the character. But Brandon Routh's version of Superman was technically Christopher Reeve's version of Superman. So that's what makes him the second best Superman. Now, if you want to talk about who's the best Superman in television, that's a tough debate because it's between Dean King and the current guy who's playing Superman on television. There's a lot of history with this character, Superman. That's why people like the classic pre-crisis version. And in fact, this is the version of Superman that can actually fight Goku in a competitive fight. Now, as far as this version of Superman beat Goku, that's going to be a completely separated video in the future. Maybe in the summer, we might answer the billion-dollar question of who will actually win in 12 rounds of HBO boxing, Superman or Goku. It ain't that simple to just say Superman will win or Goku will win because Death Battle Screw Attack likes to take 50 different versions of Superman and have him beat one version of Goku. And that's not how you do a fight. But my point is, it's all in good fun of enjoy of entertainment. What they do with their show is what they do with their show. What I do with my show is what I do with my show. It's not a beef. It's just me explaining to you this is the best version of Superman, period. Coming in at number 10 is Scarface, made in 1983. For anyone who likes gangster movies in the gangster genre, when I went to film school, this is by far the most talked about gangster film of all times. Now, they had done a black and white version of Al Capone's version of Scarface, but the Scarface we all grew up watching, that we all loved, is the Al Pacino version. You know, Universal made it big with this movie. You know, this movie's like 3 hours long. You know, there's the rough cut, there's the edited version, there's the director's cut, there's the extended version. They have like 4 or 5 different versions of Scarface. And it's hard to tell which one's the best version out of all of them. Say hello to my little friend. You know, that's a masterpiece. You know, Oliver Stone wrote that script, did the movie, filmed it, shot it, went to Miami, done the movie. And the fact that Al Pacino was able to transform into Tony Montana, to this day, it is iconic. There are video games of Scarface, there are books, there are graphic novels, there are comic books, there are clothes, there are toys. And you fast forward 30 plus years later, and people still can't get enough of this film. And the idea that people are now asking for this movie to get remade in today's time period just shows you how significant this Scarface film is. That movie launched a lot of careers in acting, television, music, modeling. You look at all the actors and actresses who played in that movie, and look where they are today. All because of this one movie called Scarface in 1983. And the fact that they made a video game to where his character actually lived, and made a sequel. Like, the video game is like a sequel to what if he didn't die at the end of the movie and he still survived. Coming in at number 9 is Heat. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kramer, Ashley Judd, a young Natalie Portman is in this movie. You got a lot of all-star actors and actresses in this movie. This movie, too, launched a lot of careers today. I mean, they took Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and put them on the big screen for the first time. Like, for almost 15 years, people kept saying, why don't you get the two greatest Hollywood actors of all times and have them face off on the big screen? I mean, if you think about it, Heat's also another gangster film. And to me, if it weren't for this film, you would have never gotten 1997's Face Off with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. Because when you watch Face Off, it does have a lot of similarities to 1995's Heat. Robert De Niro is the villain. Al Pacino is the cop who has to take on the villain. I mean, that's like the greatest movie cinema action of all times. Anyone that knows movies has to have Heat on their list. This is when movies were just showing you the best creativity that writers, screenwriters, directors could have. And this movie, to this very day, whenever I watch it on cable, it's still by far one of the greatest masterpieces of all times. No movie has ever come close to this magnitude. Heat is one of those movies that when you hear the name, you just know it has something to do with the good guy versus the bad guy. And the fact that these were two of the greatest actors of their time, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and then fast forward 20 years later, they put them together again with another movie where they're both cops. That movie shows that two great actors can put their egos to the side and create an incredible, great masterpiece. Coming in at number 8 is The Dark Knight in 2008. Now, this is the movie that resurrected the superhero genre. People always give George Clooney hail for Batman and Robin. And Batman Begins was the movie that resurrected the reception of Batman, but it was the sequel, the highly anticipated sequel that was produced, written, and directed by Christopher Nolan and his brother. And The Dark Knight had by far the biggest movie ratings and made the most critical reception worldwide. Like, this movie made everyone want to watch Batman. People who never watched none of the Batmans before in history. There were people who never saw Michael Keaton's Batman, Batman Returns, Val Kramer as Batman, George Clooney as Batman. There were people who did not even see Christian Bale when he first did the first one, which was Batman Begins. But everyone saw The Dark Knight. That movie was number 1 for a month. And the movie was so great that same year, they turned around that same year and brought it back to the movie theaters. And then when it was time to end the trilogy with The Dark Knight Rise, they would come back and bring that movie back out to the theater again. And that made people take Batman a little bit more serious, and Christian Bale became the first actor to play the character 3 times in 3 movies. For years, it was debated, they do it 1 or 2 times, and then they get a new actor. He became the first actor to play the character 3 times. until Ben Affleck comes along. Now I know some people are gonna say, "Oh, Ben Affleck's Batman wasn't that good." I mean, Ben Affleck did it. I mean, he did the best he could. Don't pick on Ben Affleck too much. He did the best he could. But Christian Bale became the first to play the character 3 times. Coming in at number 7 is Training Day, made in 2001. Now, a lot of people gonna say, man, you picked Training Day because Denzel Washington won an Oscar. He had to play a bad guy, a supervillain. Yeah, that is true, but if you think about it, there were a lot of things besides that made this film great. It was written, produced, and directed by Antoine Fuqua, that was a African American film director. That's number one. Number two, your star is Denzel Washington, and he played a villain. And this movie had a lot of twists and turns. The story plot, good versus evil, who's right, who's wrong, and the idea that this launched other careers in Hollywood. And then who would have thought that a year and a half later, Denzel would team up again with actress Eva Mendes in the movie called Out of Time. So yeah, this movie kind of launched other people's careers. Coming in at number 6 is the Godfather saga. If you do not watch any other gangster movie in your entire life, at least watch these 3 films of the Godfather saga. The first one with Marlon Brando is the stuff of legends. I wasn't even born for like at least almost 10 years when this film came out, but when I saw it, every time The Godfather came on, I always try to imitate. I'm a man of business. I make money. I'm going to make you an offer that you can't refuse. I know that's not an exact quote, but still, every time The Godfather come on, I always watch it. My favorite one out of the whole trilogy is actually part 2, because Al Pacino's in that. And let's not forget, Joe Pesci does pop up in there, and Andy Garcia pops up in there, which and you hear Al Pacino say, just when you think you can go away, they keep pulling me back in. Gotta watch the trilogy, man. 3 movies of The Godfather. Godfather Part 1, Godfather Part 2, Godfather Part 3. Part 1 is by far the best one. 2 is good, but not as good as the first one. And I know some people give Godfather Part 3 is not as good as the other 2, but those are 3 movies in the trilogy of the Godfather saga. Coming in at number 5 is the Avengers in 2012. Yes, this is the first ever female team-up superhero. Now, a lot of people say the X-Men. The X-Men was like a group of superheroes, but they weren't exactly a team-up superhero movie. This was a team-up superhero movie. This became the biggest Hollywood blockbuster for superhero films, and this kind of rised on the same level as The Dark Knight, because it came out in 2012, and this got to run the superhero table. And this kind of set the bar that if you wanted to do a superhero team-up movie, these were the secret ingredients to baking the cake for other movie studios to follow. This got the attention of Universal because they started doing their own superhero team-up with the Fast and Furious franchise. This got the attention of Warner Brothers. They did Batman vs. Superman to do Justice League. This got other movie studios to follow these blueprints. It started with a movie called The Avengers. You got Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, the Black Widows, and the names go on. And of course the sequel, now I know some people say, which is how come Avengers Infinity War is not on this list, but because we're going with the first Avenger film that spawned off the other sequels. It's that great of a film, and a lot of this success is contribute to Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark at Iron Man, because if it weren't for those Iron Man films, you would have never gotten the Avengers film to begin with. Coming in at number 4 is Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, made in 1980. This was by far the best sequel in the Star Wars trilogy. Before we got to the prequels, say what you want about those Star Wars prequels, Episode 1, Episode 2, and 3. I know some people are decided on the sequel trilogy, but the original Star Wars trilogy by the man himself, George Lucas. The Empire Strikes Back. You get to see Darth Vader. You get to see Luke. You get to see Obi-Wan, Yoda, Princess Leia, Han, Chewbacca, 3CPO, RD2. You get to see all the characters and their true glory, and everyone has their own quotes that come from the movie. Coming in at number 3 is Rocky, made in 1976. Adrian, I did it! To me, Rocky was the first boxing movie that I ever saw as a kid and as a teenager. Before there was the Undisputed movies, before there was Kickboxer, before there was Blood Sports, there was Rocky. And before Rocky, there was the boxing movie that Robert De Niro did. Now I know some people are gonna say, how come that's not on the list? I eventually saw that movie too, but for me it was Rocky. And this first Rocky film is a classic. This is what spawned off all the other 5 films as sequels. It started with this one movie, and it launched Sylvester Stallone's career. Of course, Sylvester Stallone had already been doing movies before Rocky, but this really put him on a new level that he wasn't on before. And he'll be the first to tell you that. Coming in at number 2 is Mariachi, made in 1992, directed by Robert Rodriguez. See, a lot of people know his other movies, the Spy Kids trilogy, where he did all 5 films of Spy Kids. There's, his Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Desperado. People know those films. Sin City, Sin City 2, Machete, Machete Kills Again. Everybody knows those films that he directed, but this is actually either the first or the second film he done. Was called El Amachi, made in 1992, filmed in Mexico, and basically he had a small budget, and he ended up becoming the producer, the director, the writer. He became the choreograph of this whole entire movie. And in fact, the story of the guy that has a guitar to get revenge on his brother is how you got the sequel Desperado with Antonio Banderas. See, if you watch El Amachi, that's actually the first movie. And Desperado was just a sequel or a continuation to El Amachi. And then Once Upon a Time in Mexico was like the next sequel in the trilogy. So if you really think about it, it's this movie that gave you Desperado and Once Upon a Time in Mexico with Selma Hayek and Antonio Banderas. And that also launched people's careers too. Yeah. Now, do you know what the number 1 movie of all times is? The greatest movie of all times? Now this one, I actually was in junior high. I wasn't even in high school and college yet, and I wanted to see this movie. And my mom actually was going to try to make me wait until I was 18 or 19 years old to see this movie. But do you know with this one, this is a gangster movie now, Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino. Now, at that time, a lot of people didn't know who he was as a director. He had done Reservoir Dogs, and I had a hard time debating, should Reservoir Dogs come on this list or Pulp Fiction? And this movie launched so many careers. It's like, come on, man. Meg Ryan is in this movie. John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, the guy who played Snitsky in the Incredible Hulk movie as the Abomination was in that movie. Thomas Hell Church, the guy who plays Sandman in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3 was in this movie. Patricia Arquette, Uma Thurman, who we all know played Bill Kill Volume 1 and 2. I mean, do you know how many actors, actresses that was in this one movie? Everyone had a part. Bruce Willis was in this movie. Quentin Tarantino himself was in this movie. The guy that they called the Wolf was in this movie. He has so many characters, so many actors and actresses in this movie. Everybody had a small part in this film. Now, yeah, people bashed the hell out of the movie the same way they did Scarface. I mean, think about it. You think they gave Scarface a whole lot of hell for being the most violent gangster movie? They bashed and criticized Pulp Fiction. And 20 years later, just like Scarface, all of a sudden people buy it on DVD and realize how great of a masterpiece it was, because he spun off so many careers in Hollywood that it made him the man. He made Uma Thurman in Bill Kill Volume 1 and 2. Yes, he resurrected and revived John Travolta's career. He put Samuel Jackson on the map. I mean, these actors were and actresses were now taken serious. Of course, there's his other films, Jackie Brown. There's other films that he directed. But my point is, this is the number one on the list. Now, some of you may actually agree with this, and some of y'all might disagree. Some of y'all might make comments to this. Some of you might say, I think something else should have been number one on the list, but this is the greatest of all times list. I will come back with one called the top 10 best superheroes of movies of all times. I'll come back with another one called the top 10 best action movies of all times. So if this video is well received, you'll get a part 2. Part 2 is well received, you get a part 3. So I hope you like this video. Until next time, peace.